Assalamualaikum. My name is Kashifah Arifa binti Muhammad Jannatul Addne and my matrix number is 23 DKM 19F1003. I will explain about safety procedure for a lathe machine.
First, wear appropriate CSA certified safety glasses. It may be necessary for others in the area to wear safety glasses too, as objects will fly off the work. Make sure entanglement hazards are removed, as examples, loose clothing, jewelry and others. Tie back and confine long hair. Keep the floor free from obstruction or slip hazards. And make sure the lathe has a stop or start button within easy reach of the operator. Make sure the lathe has an emergency stop button and follow job specification for the speed, feed and depth of cut for materials being turned. Make sure all works run true and centered. Center drill work deeply enough to provide support for the piece while it is turning. Next, secure and clamp the piece being worked. Adjust to and to rest so that they are slightly above the center of the work. Use a lifting device to handle heavy chucks or work. And inspect chucks for wear or damage. Flying pieces can be very dangerous. Then, remove chuck wrench immediately after adjusting chuck. Use a barrier guard when operating the lathe in semi-automatic or automatic mode. Guard all power transmission parts. Next, remove all tools, measuring instruments and other objects from saddle or lathe bed before starting the machine. Keep all lathe cutting tools sharp. Ensure that the chip and coolant shields are in place. Shut off the power supply to the motor before mounting or removing accessories. Stop lathe before taking measurements of any kind. Use a vacuum, brush or rake to remove cuttings only after the lathe has stopped moving. Keep working surface clean of scraps, tools and materials.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Sabrina binti Muhammad Tahar. My normal metric is 23 DKM 90F 1007 and I will be talking about the equipments in lathe machine.
The most common tool in lathe machine is the tool bit, which you can be grind by the aid of a bench grinder, and it is made from the high-speed steel, which is quite affordable. And this tool bit is also will allow you to take quite deep cuts on the lathe work. Second, we use carbide as the second most useful tools in lathe machine, which it is in the form of inserts which you can put in holders, which you don't need to grind your own tools if the insert breaks, and you can easily change it by replacing the insert. However, the carbide is more expensive than the tool bit. Third, drill bits is also used in lathe machine with the use of high-speed steel drill bits, which will be suffice, especially when you do a lot of tapping and you don't need to spend a lot of huge amount of money on twist drills. Drill bits also will leave a much better surface finish on the hole, and they will last longer and cut better. Alongside the twist drill are this combination spot and center drills, which are really vital to have, these are very rigid drills that are intended to spot the hole that you intend to drill. A few millimeters of the drill is used for drilling a tapper, and the second larger tapper is used for drilling a tapper for the live center. In order to use the drills, you will have to invest in a chuck that can fit in the tailstock. So you're going to need use a Morse Tapper 2 chuck. Those are the two types of chuck that you can use for drilling. The live center on the tailstock is also used. A live center has a hardened tapered point that is pressed into a ball bearing that allows it to rotate, when you turn long material that has a long of stake out and to be parallel. And on the same note, a decent set of calipers is used, vital in the workshop, which are very accurate and multi-purpose measuring devices. They can be used for marking out parts that can be used part outside dimension, inside, and the depth of a hole. And the part's height is also can be measured. Another tool that can be used for lubricant is a coolant or a lubricant oil, which it is used for lubricate the machines, and it is applied on the waste for lubrication and rust prevention. And a lighter slide oil is also used for the tighter cross slides. It is recommended to use a 60 double lead lithium grease for the hand wheel and the bearings and the lead screw gears. The accessory that can be used would be a quick change tool post or a 4-way tool post, which can easily handle the tool bit or carbide tightly on its position. Another great accessory that can be used is the chuck, which is have 4 or 3 chucks. It can hold a hex or a round stock, and it is recommended to use a 4-jaw chuck. Lastly, a tool that can be pretty useful is also a knurling tool, and it can give some textured knurl patterns or thumb screws, which allows you to have a better grip in handling the work.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Qurratul and Balqis binti Abdul Aziz, and my metric number is 23 DKM19F1002 from class DKM4A. Today, I will tell you guys about the machine setup for Lathe machine. So, let's go. The tool bit must be put inside the tool holder and then put them together at the tool post. Then we take down the tool post screw to the tool bit and tie it more using a tool post key. It is to ensure that the tool bit is not loose out while operating. And then loose the spindle with the spindle chuck key and put the workpiece inside the spindle and tie it back with the chuck key. And make sure the workpiece is not loose or shaking. Bring the tool bit over to verify the right height for the tool bit and the materials. Adjust the tool bit until it becomes nice and center to the materials. And then we can adjust the angle of the tool post for the tool bit so that it is suitable for the process that we gonna do. It also can be adjusted to any various angle so that it can be suitable for others' process. After finding the right angle, we must tie it back so that the tool post doesn't move while operating. After that, we must set the suitable speed for the lathe machine, and then we can start the operation.
Good morning, my name is Pavindran, son of Sukumaran. I'm from DKM4A. My metric number is 23 DKM19F1015. So today I'm going to talk about a lathe machine which is based on standard operating procedure. All stock must be properly secured in the lathe chuck or mounted prior to the machining process taking place. Use the correct size clamp or vise for the stock being machined. Turn the chuck or face plate by hand to ensure there is no binding or danger of the work striking any part of the lathe. Check to ensure the cutting tool will not run into the chuck or lathe dog. If possible, feet away from the chuck or dogs. Before starting the lathe, ensure the spindle works as the cup center embed, tail, stock and tool resets are securely clamped and there is proper clearance for the rotating stock. Prior to starting the lathe, ensure that small diameter stock does not project too far from the chuck without support from the tail stock center. When using wood, do not mount a split workpiece or one containing knots. When roughing stock, do not force the tool in the workpiece or take too big a cut. The operator must always be aware of the direction and speed of the crank or cross feed prior to engaging the automatic feed. Never leave the key in the chuck. Do not let go of the key until it is free of the chuck and secured in its proper holding place. Select turning speed carefully. Large diameter stock must be turned at a very slow speed. Always use the lower speed to rough out the stock prior to final machining. The correct speed and feed for the specific material and cutting tool must be used. Stop the machine before making adjustments or measurements. Do not remove metal or wood chips from the table or stock by hand. Use a brush or other tool to properly remove chips or shavings from the table or stock. Never attempt to run the chuck on or off the spindle head by engaging the power. Do not stop the rotation of the chuck by reversing the power to the lathe unless tapping holes. Do not leave tools, beads or excess pieces of stock on the lathe bed. All belts and pulleys must be guarded. If frayed belts or pulleys are observed, the lathe must be taken out of service and the belts or pulley replaced. Stop the machine immediately if odd noise or excessive vibration occurs. Only properly sharpened drill bits and cutting tools in good condition should be used. Dull drill bits and chipped or broken cutting tools must be removed from service. When an operator has finished working on the lathe and before leaving the lathe for any reason, the power must be shut off and the machine must come to a complete stop. When an operator observes an unsafe condition with the lathe or stock being worked, the operator must report it immediately to the designated MSSA and the lathe shall be taken out of the service until the problem has been corrected.